So every once in a while, I think you get really super lucky. And today's story is about my $999.99 Leica M9. All right, so how did I get super lucky, right? It's not any trade secret or anything. Literally, it just comes down to being on the Borrow Lenses mailing list, right? So a few months ago, email comes out, and Borrow Lenses is having their used gear sale, right? And so, I had been shooting a lot of my Konica Hexar RF rangefinder at that point in time. And, it was just this beautiful kind of synergy between technology and classic rangefinder. But yeah, like the film costs were really creeping up and my development costs were creeping up. And I was just toying with the idea of like, well, let me just take another look at like the Leicas. Like, I can't do an M9 because all the M9s are like $2,500 still. And I was just like religiously against spending $2,500 on a camera from 2009, which this video is being done in 2019. So that's a 10-year-old camera, right? I was just like, $2,500, that's right out. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Anything that costs more than the mortgage payment on my house, that's like a serious like mental block that I have, so I have to really think about it. Anyway, so I had checked out Borrow Lenses just to see if I maybe might want to rent an M9 again. And I've done this before. I've rented an M9 before, and that experience put me off of M9s. I'll come back around to that in a second. But I thought, all right, let me give it another shot. Let me try the M9 again. So I went back to their website, and I noticed that they had three that were actually used for sale. And, the prices were still up there, but they were more reasonable than, like, your eBays or something like that. And, I mean, I would think so, right? Because they're really heavily used items. Certainly thousands of people have rented these cameras, right? And the prices were still up around, like, I don't know, 2,200. Maybe one was like a 6 out of 10 quality, and they're rating it like 19.99, something up there. So I was like, that's interesting. Maybe prices are coming down, and this is like 20% off or something like that. And so that was like a week later, I got the email from Borrow Lenses on the newsletter saying, hey, we're having our used gear sale, and we just knocked things off like 60% of what they already were. And I knew those M9s had gone down, to like 19.99 or whatever. And don't do the math in your head. I'm just trying to do this from memory. That 60%, whatever this, you're going to be like, oh, that's only, blah, blah, hundreds of dollars. Trust me. When I got to the website, I was like, oh, yeah, what about those M9s? Because they had three M9s that they were selling, right? So let me go back and just see what those are. And I clicked on the link for the Leica. Just like, yes, sort by this. And so the way that it works is that Borrow Lenses will let you put something in your cart and you have it pending for 10 minutes, which I think is pretty damn genius. So anyway, 10 minutes is what you get. And if somebody has it in their cart, it says pending next to the item. Well, by the time I had gotten there, the email had been out for 45 minutes. By the time I got there, one of the M9s had already sold, like the highest quality. It was like an 8.5 out of 10. There was a 7.5 out of 10, and it was pending. So somebody had already snagged that one. And that one was going for about $10.50, right? And the last one was a 6 out of 10, and it was going for $9.99. And dude, I was like, at that point, I just threw my credit card at the screen. I was like, I don't care if it's like the biggest piece of junk in the world. For $9.99, there is a return policy. I can at least check it out. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, no, I'm in. Like, let's do this. We'll figure it out as we go. So Borrow Lenses customer service didn't end there either. I also ordered a battery, a Leica M9 battery, at the same time. It was used, but it's only like $20. This is like a $180 battery. They were selling it for $20, and I was like, yeah, even if it's a used battery, at least I have like two batteries. One came with the camera, one extra one. So I ordered it, they called me up and they said, hey, Mr. Ziegler, we tested this battery. It's not working. Instead of saying, we're going to refund you your $20, they're like, we're going to contact Adorama and have them drop ship you a brand new Leica M9 battery. Again, this is a $180 battery. And I was on the phone, I was like, Okay, that would be great. Like, I was floored again, right? Well, that's like stellar customer service. So not only did I get a $999 Leica M9, but I got a $180 brand new battery for essentially $20. All right, so that's how I got it. Well, what does it look like, right? Well, it actually doesn't look too bad. So this is it right here, as a matter of fact. There it is. That's what a $999 Leica M9 looks like. And it came in this really nice Pelican Borrow Lenses case. And there's the extra battery that Adorama drop shipped me, brand new, like just amazing. Yeah, so I'll do some closer B-roll footage of this, and I'll cut to it so you can see it. But just kind of going over it, I did add this strap to it. A Leica strap actually came with it, believe it or not. But I added this strap to it and added this little thumbs up here on the top hot shoe. But yeah, it's got lots of brassing on it. I added this little soft shutter too. Lots of brassing on it. The actual LCD on the back there, which is one of my biggest gripes about the M9. That LCD on the back there's got like smudges. I'll see if I can hit the light. Smudges and scratches. It's pretty used, you know. But the actual viewfinder itself is really nice. It's not too bad. The only weird thing about it is that the base plate lock right here doesn't seem to want to, when it's in its fully closed position, doesn't seem to want to go flush with the camera body. So kind of like tilts up like that when it wants to sit down. You can actually move it so that it does go flush, but then the base plate is a little bit loose. So yeah, it'll sit flush, but you know, the base plate's a little bit loose, so then I'll just kind of click it like that. Leave a comment down below if you know how to fix these little handles on the Leica base plates. I've seen a little screw in there, but I've also seen kind of a blown out diagram of what's in here. Honestly, it's just not that big of a deal. I didn't want to mess with it. But yeah, so that's what a $999 Leica M9 looks like. And a lot of you are probably saying, well, does it have the new sensor? And was it reconditioned by Leica in Germany or Leica in New Jersey or wherever they're at? And the answer to that is absolutely not. It is totally a regular Leica M9. I think it got serviced at some point. Borrow Lenses does service their cameras. They had a service receipt for it, but they don't actually know if it was sent. So I sent the serial number to Leica themselves, and they confirmed that it had not had the sensor replacement. And I did take a few shots with it, and I'll put a few up here in a little bit, but I did notice a few spots in the top left corner, maybe 5 really noticeable ones, but just in the top left corner of the sensor. And also, you know, only when there's like a patch of sky or like blue or white or some uniform color where you can kind of make out that there's just a little bit of a like a water droplet kind of effect right there, right? That's what the sensor corrosion looks like. But so 2 things. Number one, it only happens on those like blue skies or white skies or white walls, a clear background where you can really make it out. That's when they show up. If it's any normal street scene or regular quote unquote photograph that's just like of a non-uniform pattern in that area, you don't really see the corrosion. But even when you do, you go into Photoshop, use the heel brush, bop, 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 and it's done. I mean, I've heard of people setting up actions where they can like, just hit a button and it just goes bop, 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 done. So yeah, I mean, for $9.99, it was worth the risk, I think, to grab it, and it's really been a very, very cool camera to use. And why don't I show you a few photos that I've actually done with it? By the way, lots of them are going to be of my daughter because I'm a dad, 2 years old now. She's 2 years old, and that's my life now. That is my life now. So, hey, she's pretty cute though. So yeah, let's take a look. So yeah, I mean, as far as the quality goes, I've been really super impressed with this. And some of you will probably say, well, wait a minute, Rob, I read like an article on your blog, and this is true from like January 2017, I think I wrote an article that said the Leica M9 is a good camera, but not a great one. And you know, I made a lot of points there because I had actually rented this camera from Borrow Lenses, and I was just getting like back focusing problems on the lenses that I was using with it, and the screen was really low resolution, and I couldn't make out whether or not things were sharp on the back of the screen or not, and I was just getting frustrated. The quality wasn't there. So having said all of that, I honestly think that the reason that I picked up this camera was because, like I mentioned before, was shooting this one. This is the Konica Hexar RF. And so I think that when I had originally tried the Leica M9 in 2017, I hadn't shot a lot of film at that point, and I hadn't shot a lot of rangefinders at that point either. I had only used an M6 up to that point, and the M6 I had only had for a brief amount of time. So, you know, I tried the M6, and then I tried the M9. It just wasn't gelling with me. But after the M6, I kind of sold through a few cameras. I tried an R2A, a Voigtlander R2A. I tried a Minolta CLE, have a Leica M3, that I also got for a steal, that was very easily CLA'd. So I had tried a few more rangefinder cameras, was shooting a lot more film through them, was finding out the feel of a rangefinder camera. And by the time I had arrived at the Konica Hexar RF, just a great camera, by the way, I had really seen the marriage of a very strong rangefinder camera with really great technology. It was this camera, I think, that I was putting a roll of film through when the M9 came into play. And, you know, having said all of the things that I did in that article, which I'll link to down below, I think that I approach this M9 now the same way that I approach shooting these rangefinder film cameras, except with the benefit of just being able to slap on different ISO speeds, right? So I can go from like 100 to, you know, 1000. But now that I've shot it more like a film camera and it didn't cost $2,500, I think the M9 is actually a really great camera, believe it or not, because I'm getting the results that I wanted too. And you know, I'm pairing it with the 50mm 1.8 lens from Canon, and then I also have a 35mm f2, the China Cron, the 7 Artisans 35mm f2. Which is just a really great lens. Really amazing price point, right? So I'm using those lenses with this camera, and I'm getting the results that I just did not get before. So maybe that's more experience shooting rangefinders. Maybe that's more experience, you know, being able to, you know, shoot at these ISO speeds and understand slowing down. And, you know, and for all those reasons, the M9 is actually a much better camera than I originally gave it credit for. So Leica, yes, your 10-year-old camera is still very nice, and I really like shooting through a rangefinder, feeling like I'm shooting through a rangefinder film camera, but still getting the DNG instant results, which look great in Lightroom. So wrapping this all up, would I buy this for $2,500? I still gotta say no, and that's weird, right? But the thing is that that's a lot of money to spend, and I think that to be so close to the cost of an M240 or the cost of a Leica Q, that's when the M9 starts to kind of be like, oh, that's a tough sell. But when you knock it down to $999, I honestly think that that's where this camera should be today. So get on those mailing lists, look out for those sales, and you know, maybe something like that will fall into your lap as well. Yeah, you know, let's keep the conversation going. If you have any questions about the shooting the M9 or about the M9 or Borrow Lenses or whatever, just leave them in the comments below. Thank you for listening to this long, drawn-out ramble session. But yeah, you know, I mean, I'm pretty excited. And I don't think you can blame me, right? It's a damn good deal. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.